In this video, I'm going to be looking at why I think Games Workshop have got it right on the road to 9th edition. Hey guys, welcome to Top Table Gaming. You're here with your host Top Table Ben, and as I said in the intro, today I'm going to be taking a look at why I personally think that Games Workshop have done an outstanding job of launching 9th edition, not only with their communication, but also the things that they have done to make 9th edition better. So first up, unless you've been living under a rock, everyone will know that we have been suffering with a pandemic across the world, which has put a lot of plans on hold, not just for us personally, but for a lot of businesses and things out there. And obviously, the guys at Games Workshop were meant to be holding Warhammer Fest. I'm guessing that that's where they had anticipated that they were going to launch 9th edition and kind of give us a bit of a heads up of what was to come, and obviously that had to be cancelled. So instead of doing it via Warhammer Fest, they had to kind of think outside the box, and they did like a live stream on Twitch, which personally I think was a better way to go. Now, I love Warhammer Fest. I've been for the last couple of years in a row. I really enjoy it. I love going to see all the new things that are out there. Love the Golden Demon competition, etc., etc. But even when you go, there's no guarantee that you're going to be able to see the seminars. So for a lot of the things like that, you might end up missing out even though you are at Warhammer Fest yourself. So even if you can't get to Warhammer Fest, you are going to be kind of left out, I guess. Now, I know that the Games Workshop team do publish Warhammer community articles very soon after they make any big announcements, but it just felt like the way that they did the announcement this time was a lot more inclusive. It meant that people that all across the world could watch at the same time and were being given that information at the same time. I felt that was a very kind of refreshing way to do it. It meant that all the kind of the Warhammer and the Games Workshop communities out there on Facebook, on Twitter, on Reddit, were all kind of reacting to it in real time and all at the same time. So for me personally, I felt that they did an outstanding job in what is otherwise been a pretty tough time for a lot of businesses out there. I think they did a great way of introducing us to Warhammer 40k 9th edition. The next thing I think they've done really, really well at is the live trailer that they did. So the animated trailer, which I thought was absolutely fantastic. And watching that, I could like feel the hairs on the back of my neck sticking up whilst I was watching it. I thought it blew my mind, and I'd love to see a kind of a full-scale film of that. So it kind of included all the Necrons, it included some guardsmen, it included the new Space Marines that are part of the new box set, which I'll come on to a little bit later on. But I thought that was a great way to launch a completely new chapter in Warhammer 40k. The next thing I think that Games Workshop have done right is the amount of communication that they've given to us as a community. Not only have there been regular Twitch streams, there have also been regular, sometimes daily, sometimes twice daily, Warhammer community articles that have gone up covering some of the key rule changes, such as Overwatch, tanks and monsters, flying vehicles, loads of different stuff. But there's also been almost daily faction reviews as well, which either kind of concerns some of those existing players, or maybe just kind of puts their minds at rest a little bit, so that they aren't necessarily as concerned how the rule changes are going to affect their army. Not only has this built up some hype, but I think it has kind of really helped us get our heads around and understand some of those big changes that are going to be happening in 9th edition. Next thing I think Games Workshop have done absolutely right is there's going to be a free rules pack. So the core rules are essentially going to be free available to download online. They have actually dropped today. I've not had a chance to have a proper look through those yet. However, I did notice that it was 26 pages of rules. I'm not sure if any of you guys who played 8th edition saw the shorter kind of version of the rules, but it was about 4 or 5 pages. It was really short. Sometimes it's a little bit ambiguous, whereas this looks like it is you could play the game using these rules. I think giving them out free, kind of even before the official launch of it, is quite a bold move. So I don't know whether there will be a standalone rulebook eventually with a bit more fluff and things in it after the Indominus box set is box set is released. But it will be interesting to see, whether people will just be turning up with printouts or PDF versions. It remains to be seen, but I think giving the rules out for free so that people can try it themselves is a fantastic way of doing it. The other fantastic thing, and I really applaud Games Workshop for this, is that they have designed 9th edition so that you can use your existing codexes and the Psychic Awakening books alongside it. So you aren't going to necessarily need to buy a brand new codex to go with a brand new edition. One of the big criticisms I often see about Games Workshop is the number of books that are released, and this perception that you have to kind of keep buying these books at £25 a pop to kind of keep on top of the game. I don't think you necessarily need to do that. Obviously you need your codex for your own faction and your own army, maybe any of the expansions, so the Psychic Awakening book that goes alongside those, but you shouldn't need to buy kind of loads and loads of books to kind of keep up. So I think it's been a great way for them to retain some of that loyalty and not annoy people, shall we say, by forcing them to buy extra books on top of what they've already got. So this might be a little bit of a contentious one, however, bear with me, and I think that I'll hopefully be able to change your mind on it. Now, I've seen a couple of rules that are, let's say, a little bit wordy. There's kind of word soup going on there, and I think when you kind of read it out of context or when you're not playing the game, it might not make sense. However, I would prefer that Games Workshop goes down that sort of route and makes rules completely crystal clear, because there's loads of rules lawyers out there. There's people who kind of interpret rules in different ways, and there's people that will kind of tweak and change the rules and their interpretation of the rules to their own advantage. Now, by making the rules, yes, a little bit more complicated and a little bit more wordy, they have complicated it to some extent, but I think it will stop some of those issues at tournaments or in games where the rules aren't clear enough for you to interpret what you should be doing. So yes, it is quite wordy, but I think it will stop a lot of the complications and things going on when you are playing your games. So yeah, if you agree with me, let me know in the comments below. If you don't, again, let me know. The next thing I think they've got right in 9th edition is the Crusade campaign. So there are a lot of people out there, like myself, who aren't necessarily competitive players, that we just like to play for fun and for fluff. The Crusade campaign is basically, you start off with about a 500-point army, and then you build on it from there, depending on how well your army does in games. You can lose units, you can gain units. I think it's just a really cool and interesting way to play the game. If you've got a group of friends that are all choosing a different army, you can compete against each other in a narrative way, rather than it just being a match play game. It's a way of playing the game that I am personally really, really looking forward to. One of the next things I'm really excited about for 9th edition is the Warhammer 40k app. Now this is something that I think they have missed a trick on for a while, but maybe they were just waiting for 9th edition to come out. The thing that I'm looking forward to most for it is the army builder aspect. So you'll be able to kind of build your armies using the up-to-date points values, and hopefully this will continue to be updated by Games Workshop as and when they change any points values. One of the other things that I'm really excited about, and I think Games Workshop have got absolutely right, is the new Indominus Crusade box set that is accompanying the new release of 9th edition. So unlike in previous editions where we've had a starter set, this is not going to be classed as a starter set. This is just an accompanying set to go alongside the launch of 9th edition. From the rumours that I'm hearing, I think it was going to be priced anywhere from £120 to £170. So I'm going to go down the middle, and I think it's going to be £150, which, even so, I think it's a great value box set for everything that is included. It includes a book, it includes 2 1,000-point armies, so you get quite a lot in the box. Games Workshop have also said that you will save approximately 50% on buying all the components individually, so there is a fantastic saving to be had by picking up this box set. Whilst I'm discussing the box set, I also want to just quickly mention the models inside, and one of the things that I think Games Workshop have got absolutely right is the way that they've moved on both armies that are included in the box. So first up, Primeras. Primeras are kind of obviously the new guys on the block for in Space Marine terms, and one thing that I did really like about the older Space Marines was kind of the gothic look to them, all the insignia and things on them, and I think the Primeras Marines had kind of lost that a little bit. They were very clean looking, they didn't have any of this kind of fanciness to them, shall we say, but I think looking at all the new models, they've got far more kind of flair to them, shall we say. There's a guy with a shield that's got a skeleton strapped to it. There's kind of more seals and stuff all over them. They just feel that little bit more gothic, and they kind of, to me at least, feel like they fit in kind of more with that the 40k universe and kind of where the Space Marines have come from. Similarly, the Necrons have kind of moved forward in my eyes as well, whereas before they were almost seen like, I've seen them described as Tomb Kings in space. They're now kind of far more, look more like sort of a space horror type genre, which I think is absolutely fantastic. I wasn't overly keen on the old look of them. They just kind of look like silver skeletons. Some of the warriors looked quite janky and quite sort of dated, whereas I think the new models that they brought out for Necrons are amazing. I'd never really been particularly interested in Necrons before, but when I saw this box set, wow, I was blown away. I love the War of the Worlds look of some of the bigger models. I can't remember their names off the top of my head now, but they just look amazing. And I think they've just done a fantastic job of moving both armies forward and just kind of giving them a slightly more modern twist to what the older editions of those models were. So that's it. Personally, I think Games Workshop have done a fantastic job so far of their launch of 9th edition. There is still loads more to come. This weekend we have got some more previews coming up, which will be really fantastic to watch. If you've got some time on your hands and you fancy joining Steve and Jay as they watch it live, they will be streaming live on the day, so check out the YouTube channel and keep an eye out for a link to that live stream. If you want to support the channel in any way at all, make sure that you're checking out the links in the description below. We've got a link to our Element Games affiliate site, so if you want to pick up the Indominus box set, please use that link. We get a little kickback from Element Games for every purchase that is made that way. There's also a link to our Patreon account where we have some very generous patrons who support the channel and make everything that we do possible. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video.